This is the Grenfell Tower as it stands today. The community has been very affected by the fire, and I wanted to go as a journalist who has been affected by this story to talk to those in the community who are helping on the ground.
What I personally came across with my team from Eden Care Muslim Burial is seeing the people absolutely lost in ways I cannot express in words. People sitting on the street crying their eyes out, not knowing where their loved one is missing. And this followed on into the week as we came every day. And it was horrible to see the grief they were in, because they just wanted to know where they were. You know, either if they're deceased or alive, they wanted to know.
They've lost everything that they owned, and more than that, they have lost their loved ones, which has been one of the most difficult things for them to come to terms with.
It doesn't take a genius, or you don't have to be in a specific authority or in a position to help them. You know, humanity kicks in. And that's what happened with Eden Care Muslim Burial. We came forward because we felt like we needed to help and support them at this time. They were not thinking straight. They weren't able to think straight.
We were providing emotional support to many of the families who have lost their loved ones. Our day has been doing family visits, for example, to help a bereaved family plan the funeral of a loved one, to providing immediate cash assistance, to providing hot meals, for example. So for all of us, we've been working more than 16 hours, and for many of us, this was the most testing and difficult Ramadan we've ever seen.
Our first response has been the emergency shelter, and then providing clothes, toiletries, and all financial help. And then now we are entering the phase 2, where we are offering counseling, physiotherapy, acupuncture, and also from tomorrow we'll be starting art therapy for young children. So this is the sort of things we are doing at present.
After the Grenfell scenario, it was obviously a massive tragedy. So whatever I can do, even a small bit to help distribute these donations, I think is a great thing. So we're all coming together from different parts of London and helping each other out. So it's great that way.
I was lying in bed and I got a message from a friend in the morning of the day it happened, and he'd said, have you seen the fire? So I was like, well, what are you talking about? And he was like, check online. So I went on to the internet and saw on BBC that the tower was on fire, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And then there was like signs everywhere on Instagram and Twitter about where you could go to drop off donations. I just got onto the train, the Central line to Shepherd's Bush, and then I walked for like 20 minutes to Westway, and then that's where I dropped my things off.
I met the parents of Mohammed al-Gerhardt, and I personally washed the young man's body, getting him ready for his burial, which is the ghusl, we call it in Islam, and then putting the shrouds on before the Janazah prayer and at the burial in scene. I cannot really describe it to your viewers how horrific or the state his body was in. Even today I was asked by his father earlier on, and he wanted to know, as strong as a man as I am, I couldn't say this to him. And I explained to his other sibling, to explain to the gentleman, to remember his son as a beautiful, handsome young man. He started crying. So the emotion you can see, you know, for a father, because as a fathers or parents ourselves, we expect our children to bury us, not for us parents to bury our children.
Just praying now the Jum'ah prayer next to someone from the 16th floor in Grenfell Tower. And he couldn't finish the whole prayer, was crying, remembering the neighbors, the friends he left behind, some of them are still unaccounted for. So the implication, the effect of the whole Grenfell Tower tragedy has been quite overwhelming. Again, the pain is felt everywhere in the community.
So we're coordinating and centralising all the donations that were in a dozen or more different places, doing quick stock check so that everybody knows what's available and where it is, because up to present it's been in a dozen different places and everybody was not quite sure what everybody else had. So now we can help centralise that and speed up getting the donated items to the people that need them as quickly as possible.
The Heed is the Help started because there was no social media page that was giving any update or live information about what was happening on the ground. And obviously a lot of people were turning up to the centre and they wanted to donate things and they didn't know what centres to go to. So I called a friend and I was like, look, I want to start a page on Twitter and on Instagram to give live updates and how volunteers can get involved and how people can get involved in sorting the donations. So I got the tag at Heed is the Help, and that's been doing really well. And obviously a lot of people have been coming through that to get information or how to get involved.
So on the night of the fire, we went out with 2 big box vans and collected, or tried to collect, as many donations that had been handed out in the area near the fire. And at the end of the night, we were actually struggling to offload. Everybody was full. So we stored the vans overnight, and then in the morning a place in Acton accepted the donations to be stored. But the problem is it's too overwhelming with all the donations. It's hard for people to get a sense of direction of how to sort it, how to distribute it.
People from different faiths, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different ages, all coming together, united in ensuring that the families are looked after, ensuring that the family safety is taken into consideration, and also most importantly is putting the families first.
When I first heard about the fire at Grenfell Tower, the first thing I wanted to do is help. As soon as I realised what was happening, I actually came across a Twitter from Here Is the Help, which is a voluntary organised kind of group who've been recruiting people through social media to come and volunteer and help with these the donations. So in terms of my impressions of it, I think for me, I wanted to do something, and this gave me an outlet to be involved and not just talk about what's happened, but also physically help out. And I've met people from all parts of London, some people even other parts of England, come down with stuff and also volunteer their time.
Phenomenal response of donation coming into our charity shops at Heman Appeal, both in Whitechapel and Baker Street. And I thought, hold on a minute, where all of these things are going to go? So I contacted Safe Store because of our relationship, our winter campaign. They were very generous to quickly respond and give us this space in kind. So we're very grateful to them. The volunteers have been a key part of this, and we're talking about corporate volunteers that came together to help us.
The West London Jewish Synagogue were among the first to come to us with their volunteers to offer us food for over 100 people. We had the St. John's Hill Church in Holland Park. They donated to us £5,000. The St. Clement's Church, the different Sikh and faith community, also communities with no faith. They've all been very supportive and cooperative in this response.
To each and every one of them who have spent hours on end. I was here myself till about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and the amount of people who have donated, the amount of people who have come out, like I said, just supporting, comforting families, reassuring them. I can't say enough. It was overwhelming to see.
My friend Ron, he's from JP Morgan, and he messaged me the day before. He's like, who can help me out? And I thought it was a good cause, so I thought I'd help Ron out.
And what's the day been like so far? Gaining, you've been helping out, bringing boxes in and donations.
The day started off dull and dreary, a kind of typical London morning, I guess. But it's been really nice because I met people from lots of different parts of the community, lots of different companies, and it's really cool to see everyone gathering together to help people who've survived this major catastrophe.
It's been a really productive day. To be honest, I didn't expect so many people to come. I literally thought 3 or 4 people were going to come. But seeing 10 or 11 people here is actually really encouraging, and we started at 11, so I think we can do this really quickly. This is my second week. I did it 2 weeks ago, Notting Hill and also Chiswick. That's where they're storing the donations. And I think it's been going on for a month now with a few more weeks to come. So there's lots of donations across London that we need to gather and put into one central location.
Okay, well, we're just on our way and we're bringing about 10 to 12 volunteers, and Hammersmith is empty now. See you soon, John. Bye, 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 bye. Because Almanar called and they said they really need help with getting stuff to the families at the hotels and
I think
the houses.
the way it's going to be structured is there's 2 windows, AM and a PM delivery.
Yeah.
And that way we just know that every day somebody's going to collect at this time and drop off at that time.
Yeah.
In the morning, and the same again in the afternoon. After the rush hour in the morning, and then just after lunchtime in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so we're not hitting rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
Our role has grown to basically now assisting families through all of their services and provisions that they need. So that ranges from any help they need with regards to cash assistance, of burial services, bereavement services. We have families who we try to aid them in assisting them in whatever issues or problems they are facing. Currently now with, again, financially, but also most importantly now with rehousing them into permanent housing, as well as access to legal aid and advice.
There's several teams around the west part of London, and we've had a lot of work at storage places at tube stations where we've had overflow of items and surplus of items. These have come from families, different organisations, charity organisations that have collected them.
There are still families in hotels, and it's very, very tough with families with 5 or 6 kids in a hotel room. It's very difficult. There's been millions raised by the public. We have seen some of that money trickle through and administered through the likes of National Zakat Foundation, who are also a charitable partner within the GMRU. So it's important that they've raised, for instance, they've distributed rather just over £200,000 to the families directly. Highlighting again the importance of the traumatic experiences the families have gone through.
Part of these items were based in Hammersmith Tube Station, for example. So that's just one of the stations that TfL allowed us to use. We've also used Acton Station. We've also used other stations around West Part of London, which is close proximity of Grenfell Tower. The TfL staff, they've been great, and they've allowed us access to secure areas to store these donated items, as well as always have someone there to make sure our volunteers were safely signed in and our safety was kind of taken care of. But also they also had someone to make sure that we could get our work done quite smoothly and without interfering with the general community as well and commuters.
In a climate where there is the increase and the rise of the far right, also there's the spike in anti-Muslim hate crimes. It's great that to see, despite all of this, the community has come together in the face of all of adversity. And obviously, it's very sad that it took a tragedy to actually bring everyone together. But it's a testimony to the strong resolve of the community, that the community will not be cowed by fear. But on the contrary, the community has come together to support what is the biggest human catastrophe since Second World War here in London.
It shouldn't take a horrific tragedy to all of us to unite. We should be, as a human being, we should stick together, work together, watch out for each other.
The nice things that has come out of this is that so many organisations have made friends with each other, and those friendships are going to enable us to support each other in the following months and the following years, which is going to be absolutely amazing.
Community spirit has been one of the greatest things that has come out of this tragedy. Without the community support, many of these families feel that they would not have got the help that they needed.
But I think for now, the most important thing is closure, to actually gain clarity in terms of the family members who are missing. Are there any remains? Can we identify them? Can we bury them? Gain closure for the families and try to move on step by step.
During my time visiting the Grenfell Tower community, I have seen the diverse unity coming together from organisations to religious groups and people all wanting to help the Grenfell Tower victims rebuild their lives. This is the true human spirit, and the organisations continue to provide assistance.